Okay, the pieces you will need for page 2 are as follows. Your A piece is 7 7/8 by 9 7/8. Your piece B is 6 1/2 by 9 1/2. Piece C is 6 by 8. D 5 1/4 by 8. And you'll need 2 E pieces. They are 5 by 7 1/4. And your F piece is 4 by 9 3/4. Okay, so those are the pieces you need, and now we'll get out our scoreboard and we will score everything. Okay, so A, score A at half and at 3/4 along the 7 7/8 side. Piece B, score at half on the score at half and 5/8, which is the next tick over. This is along the 9 1/2 inch side, so half and 5/8. Piece C is half along the 6 inch side. Piece D, half along the 8 inch side. Half and the 8 inches at the top. Both of your E pieces, half on the 5 inch side. And your F piece, half on the 4 inch side. Alright, that is all the scoring you need to do. You can get that back out of the way. Okay, so apply score tape to each of those 1/2 inch sections. When you get to A and B, make sure that you have score tape just on that 1/2 inch section and not on that extra score line there. Make sure it's beside. And the same with on the A, make sure it's on that 1/2 inch section but not that 1/4 inch beside it. Okay, so that 1/4 inch is free of adhesive. And now we are going to miter the corners of every one of these. So starting on A and B, you'll be starting from the first score line there. There we go, from the first score line to the edge, but don't cut into this score line. And just taking off a little bit at an angle on every piece. Oh, that might have been a little bit too much. And the score tape is all on the valley side, so the indented side is where your score tape is. And now we will start to put it together. So bring your page 1, flip it over so you've still got the openings on the sides, and start from the beginning, piece A. So fold on your score lines, and you should probably use a bone folder just for the purposes of showing you I'm not using a bone folder, but you should. And remove the score tape backing, and this goes right to the top of your base page. Alright, excellent. Open that up, and then your B piece adheres to the left side of A when it's in the open position. So folding on your score lines, removing the tape backing, and adhere this one down. Alright, and we're just going to keep going around in a circle. So C, your C piece adheres to the bottom of your B piece, centered. And then open that one down. And your D piece goes on the right side of C. So you've got base, A, B, C, D. And now your 2 E pieces go on the top and bottom of D. Top and bottom. Oh, this one's just a titch off. There we go. Alright, and now close all of that back up in a little circle. And your F piece is going to be the kind of the closing locking mechanism. So remove the score tape from it, and it goes at the bottom of your base page. Alright, bottom of the base page. Oh. Alright, and then close this, and now we will add a couple magnets. So 2 pieces of score tape right here. They don't have to be measured or anything, just near the bottom. You want to leave at least, at least a ½ inch or so, because you don't want it to be too close to the end of the paper. Because when you add your pattern paper, you want to make sure that it will cover the magnets completely. So place 2 magnets stuck together. So there's 2 there. And there's 2 here. And now put a little piece of score tape on top of each of those. And take the backing off. And close the flap. And now you've got 2 magnets closing up your page. So now you just have to figure out what pattern paper you're putting on and measure each piece. There's nothing fancy here, everything's just simple. So measure, you know, for instance, how big this is and cut the pattern paper down just a tiny little bit. I'm going with more of an orange and black this time. So I'm just going to ink up my pieces of paper and we'll start putting them on. Okay, so I've already started adding the pattern paper. These top 2 pieces on the very front here, these 2 pieces are actually from the Graphic 45 Steampunk Spells collection, because I wanted to go orange and black, and they just worked so well, and I only had a few sheets left, so I just thought I'd use them. So as you open it up, got the orange and black theme happening, so I've put some of them on already. And then I decided to bring in a little bit of the green. So, put this green one on. There we go. Okay, so that one right up there. And then I'm going to put this ephemera card somewhere. I just haven't exactly figured out where yet. So right now I'm just going to kind of keep it there and I'll figure out later. So what I'm figuring out my pattern paper, I kind of look at everything as a whole. So, you know, so it matches cohesively here. When you open it up, you want to keep the orange and black, and then this is going to tie in the green as you open that down. So you've still got that green tie-in, and then when you open it this way, bringing it back to the orange. So I kind of look at the entire thing as a whole and see if it's cohesive still with every flap that I open. And then want to make sure the green is still, so we'll put orange down here, but we want to make sure the green is still staying in the picture. I have to admit that I found this collection a little bit more challenging to work with than most of the Graphic 45 collections I find really easy to work with, and they're just a joy to work with. This one, for some reason, I just found that it didn't have enough of a color scheme. It was basically just green, orange, black, like very Halloween-y, I suppose. And there's some beige in there as well, but yeah, I found it a little bit more of a challenge. not straight, Katya. Let's try that again. There we go, that's better. And then the last two. And this is the last one. It's the only one I haven't inked yet. So to ink things, if you haven't, you know, if you're not familiar with it, you just kind of take the sponge dauber or whatever and just kind of brush it against the side like that. You can't really see very well on this piece of black, but all it's doing is just giving a little bit of, you know, vintagey, edgy ink to the edges and getting rid of that white. You don't want the, from where you cut it, there's always that core white bit from the center of the paper, and most people don't like that showing. So get rid of it by inking up the edges. Just gives it that nice feel. That, I mean, the Graphic 45 already has the beautiful, it's always you know, the 40s kind of imagery, the vintage kind of imagery, so this just kind of adds to that effect. Alright, so now apparently one of my things is crooked because this should be sitting like this, so I'm not sure which one is crooked, but one is. But that's okay. Oh, I'm probably going to try and fix that. So as you close these up, so you've got the greens and blacks, close that up, you know, we've got all the oranges and then the greens, and I think it seems pretty cohesive. And yeah, I quite like this page. Alright, really simple but really effective. I might do something on the front here later on in the embellishing. So now we are ready to move on to page 3. So we will get all of our pieces that we need and then bring in a base page and we'll start rocking it. Okay, so here is a reminder look of what page 3 looks like. So we've got magnets here holding these little flaps, and that opens up, that opens down, and then the two of them turn like that, and then that opens to the side, and that opens to the side, and then they both open out, and then we've got a large pocket. Alright, so let's make this one. Your pieces you will need for page 3 are as follows. Piece A is 8 inches by 8.5 inches. 2 piece B's, and they are 7.5 by 10.5. 2 piece C's, they measure 6 1/4 by 7.5. And 2 piece D's, which are your little flaps that close everything, and they are 3 inches by 3 3/4 inches. Okay, so get all those pieces cut, and then we will bring in our scoreboard. We'll begin, as always, with piece A. So we are going to score it at half along the 8-inch side. So there's the 8-inch side. We'll score it at half. Okay, and now we are going to rotate it 90 degrees. So that score line is now at the top. And we're going to score it again at half and at 8. So this is going to create our pocket that goes on the base page. Now we'll take our piece B's. And B is scored at half along the 10.5-inch side. So half. And now we are going to flip the paper over. So that 1/2-inch score line is still at the 1/2-inch mark, but now you've got the raised mountain edge instead of the valley. Okay, and now we are going to score it again at 5.5. Now we flipped it over because these are going to go in opposite directions. You always want to turn your valley into a mountain. So this is a valley, so it will fold like that, and the valley on this side will fold back, so they're going to fold in different directions. Okay, so again, half along the 10.5-inch side, flip the paper over, and again at 5.5. You're going to score your C at 3 3/4 along the 7.5-inch side. So 3 3/4. And your D pieces. Score at half on the 3 3/4-inch side. Alright, and that's all the scoring you have to do. And now guess what? We're going to add some score tape. So score tape on each of the 1/2-inch sections. Make sure you apply the score tape on the valley side of that score line. Okay, now these don't have a 1/2-inch section, so leave your, what are they, the C pieces alone. And then score tape on all 3 sides of your A piece. Alright, okay, so set your C pieces aside. They don't need to be mitered, but we're going to miter the corners of the rest of them. From the score line to the edge of the paper. And now on the A piece, your pocket, do those sides as normal. And then where these two connect, I want you to cut in at an angle, and then cut it at an angle on this side. Alright, so you've got something that looks like that. I mean, you can, if you can cut straight across, but I prefer to go just slightly at an angle like that. Alright, hopefully you can see that okay. I swear at some time I am going to get better light in this studio, but I've got like 4 lights on right now and it's still dark in here. It's because we're in a condo and there's a cement wall right outside my window, so I don't really get any sun in the window. It's just a cement wall. Alright, so now First we are going to adhere our pocket down onto our base page. So you need a new base page. Okay, so fold and crease all of your score lines, and you really should use your bone folder for this every time. Don't follow my example of not doing it. And now I like to put the sides in first and then the bottom of the pocket. Because as you slide a tag in, this way it's got a nice channel all the way down. If you put the bottom in first and then do the sides, sometimes you can catch right in that little corner there, so I like to do the sides first. And I feel like I need to cut a little bit more of an angle here. There we go. Alright, so take the backing, score tape backing off the sides first. And kind of push, so just that corner little bit will adhere, and then take off the bottom. Alright, so you've got the sides and then the bottom is on top. So this is going to adhere to your base page on the right hand side, so the opening of the pocket is towards the left. Alright. There's your pocket there. Next. Oh, I think I actually did it the opposite way. Well, good thing that we have a brand new base page, so I'm just going to turn it around. Because apparently in the instructions I have it on the left-hand side. Alright, doesn't really matter either way. So now grab your B pieces, fold them on the score lines, valleys into mountains, crease, and now remove the backing from the score tape. Remove the score tape backing. Where's my pokey tool? Oh, I just had it. There it is. All right. So one of these will adhere right down onto A, so on the left hand side. And then the other one will adhere right down onto the base page. So here's the base page here. This is A here. So right down onto the base page, and your B pieces should align perfectly and just touch in the center, just like that. Alright? Open out like that. Now, if you do know, I know we're going with the black and the orange theme, so if you know what pieces of paper you want to put right here, we can put those on now. I think I was going to use that. Alright, so I'm just going to quickly ink these two pieces and put them down. If you don't know what paper you'd like to put on there yet, it's not a really big deal. We can add it later. We're not actually adhering anything. It will just be a matter of, we're going to be using a brad. So it'll be a matter of like taking the brad out and adding your pattern paper and then punching a hole into the pattern paper and reattaching it. But if you do know or have an idea, then now is a little bit easier. So alright, pattern paper. Alright, so now take your C pieces and fold and crease them on the score lines. So take your two C pieces and make sure they're centered on the page. So make sure you've got the same amount on either side. So we've got just shy of 2 inches there. Move them just a titch over. Make sure they're straight. So we are centered. Now, while holding them here, fold down the top part, keeping a hold of it, and measure from the left-hand side. Measure in 2 3/4 and make a little mark on the paper. Don't worry, it won't be seen. You're going to cover it with pattern paper, so just make a little mark. Okay? And then fold this one up, like keeping it in the same spot. Try not to move it. And now measure in again from the left-hand side. Now this time measure in 3 1/2 and make a little mark. Okay. Now, here comes the kind of tricky part. What we're trying to do is, so I'm going to use my pen and just kind of hold it there. And then I'm going to rotate this whole piece. And as I rotate it, my goal is that it lines up with the bottom of the page, which it does, and it lines up so that the center, you want it to be so that when it's folded over, it's going to meet in the middle. Now, this needs to be over just a little smidge. So kind of adjust it so that, see right now when I fold it, it's like right near the edge of the center line. That's where I want it. I want it to be lined up with the bottom and the center. Okay, so now put your pen on that same mark and turn it back to the horizontal position. And now you are going to want to make a hole through this. Alright, so where's our hole punch? So we just use this. So punch a hole where you've just held your pen. Alright, and if you pushed hard enough, there's probably a mark there in the pattern paper as well. So bring it back. Play with it until, so it's right, that's where you want it. Open, turn it. Okay, so wherever this mark is, that's where you're going to punch it in your, so you want it, so you've got two flaps here. You want it to just go through this top flap. Alright, so punch a hole in that top flap so that it lines up with the hole that you've just punched in your C-piece. I really hope that makes sense. I know that this is slightly confusing. Then we need a brad. Okay, so get a little brad. And now put the brad through the inside of your C-piece. Alright? And now put it through the hole that you've created in this top flap that has the pattern paper on it. Okay? So open up the tines. Alright, so it should look like that. Now we have to do the same thing to this one. So when it's in this position, open it up, and you've got that little mark that you made at the 2 and 3 inch position. So using a pen, using something, keep your pen there, and we're going to rotate the whole thing. So you want to make sure that this is going to end up even with the top of the page, but also even with this edge. So we want to move it just a smidge closer. Okay, right there. So push down, we'll move everything back. And now you know you need to make a hole there, and you can see the hole in the pattern paper as well. So punch out that hole that you've just made, or that mark. Okay, and now the same, punch the corresponding little divot that you've created by pushing down with your pen, and make a hole there. And now take your other brad, put it through the hole in this piece, close it. Now put it through the hole in this piece. Alright, so what we have, we've got your two B pieces, these are the B pieces, and then your two C pieces, and then when you turn your two C pieces horizontally, they should line up. Alright, so line up like that. When you turn them, they should line up in the center, one touching the bottom, one touching the top. But now we need to add some magnets. Well, first we'll add our little D pieces. So take your little D piece and remove the score tape backing. And it's going to be a closure, so try and center it best you can. You can measure it if you desire. Alright, so it's attached right here. And then we're going to add a magnet right there, but we'll put the other D piece on first. Alright, so remove the backing from your D piece. And then kind of line it up with the other one. Alright, so it's attaching to the inside. And now both of these are even. Now we're going to add magnets to the top here and the bottom one down here. So a tiny piece of score tape. Right there. And another piece down here. And add 2 magnets to each of those. And another piece of score tape on top. And remove the backing. Close it up. Remove the backing down here. And close it up. So now your CD pieces are closed. But we want to make sure that they stay where we want them. We don't want them going helter-skelter. So we are going to put a magnet on the back. Alright, so I'm going to put it right back here on each of them. Okay, so little tiny piece of score tape. Just lift it up a bit. Remove the backing. Add a magnet. Just one magnet. Okay. And now we'll turn it so we can open. So now open the top of this flap. And you're going to let a magnet find its partner. There we go. See, so it's just adhering to the one you've just put on the back of this. So we're going to attach that. So right there. Now we're going to put a little bit of score tape on that magnet and remove the backing. Why is this so hard? There we go. Okay, and now there we go. It just adheres on its own. It's just finding its partner. So now there is a magnet holding that there. We're going to do the same on the other side. So put a little magnet, or a piece of score tape and then a magnet. Okay, so magnet right there. Alright, now open this up. Let a magnet find its partner. And put a little piece of score tape on that magnet. And there we go. It just finds its partner. It finds where it's supposed to go. So now both of them have magnets holding them in that position, but we also want magnets holding them in this position. Okay? So using that same magnet, going to, this is kind of tricky to show, but so you've got a magnet on the back of this one. Okay? Now open it just a little bit let it find its partner. And we're going to do the same thing as before, adding a little bit of score tape to that magnet. And make sure you've got the right side of the magnet. Like, so what I mean is when you let it adhere, make sure, because there's always a positive and negative to every magnet, so make sure you're putting the sticky, the tape on the side that's going to match its counterpart. So that one's done. Now the magnet's on this side over here, so let another one, just going to turn this around. So we've got a magnet underneath here, and we're just opening that flap. So now you've got a magnet right in here. Remove the score tape. Packing. Alright, and now open that up a little, and it will just find its counterpart. So now when you turn, so now they both have a magnet right here, and then when you turn them, they also have a magnet locking them there. And now this is what it looks like. So you've got two magnets and a brad on the first half of each of these. Alright, I hope that made sense. So each of these has one magnet, and it's attaching up here, and then it's attaching down here. So we've got two. Alright, and now we need to add our pattern paper. So I've done just some on the front, so I've done a little bit the same color, the same pattern paper that was on the front of page 2. Alright, so far that's all I've done. Alright, so let's get some on the insides here. Alright, so it's going to go with that, and green. Guess we'll get some green in there. So green, orange, and black is basically what we're going with. And you definitely don't have to follow the same color scheme that I am if you don't want to. You don't even have to use the same paper collection. You can do whatever you like. That one instead, do you think? Or more of that? Kind of liking that, actually. I think I might go that way. So what I want to do? Indecisiveness. Yeah, I think I might go this side. So we'll anchor up. Do the other one while I have the ink out. All right. Come on. There we go. And then we'll go the same way, I guess. Green on the top. Now for the piece that goes in the pocket, you just need it to go in the pocket just a little bit. This one might be a little bit short. I usually like to have it into the pocket at least an inch, but I wanted it to match, and this was the only piece I had left, so that's what I'm going with. Okay, so that is page 3 done. Now we will flip this over and we will get our pieces out for page 4.